We are so delighted to begin this Shabbat Shuvah Friday night service, this time between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, when we've had these days together on Rosh Hashanah that were so rich, and it was so wonderful to get to see each other. And now we get this Shabbat, this time, to just continue that work of Teshuvah. So we ask you, we've gone live now, and so we invite you to just get comfortable wherever you are tonight. And if you are joining us for the first time tonight, we welcome you. I know that I think my parents might be watching us tonight when they're usually at their own Friday night service, but their synagogue is not having services tonight. So I'm delighted that they are perhaps watching along with us and participating. So we begin with a nigun tonight, just to settle us into this Shabbos. And this is a nigun that is designated specifically for this month. It's called Nigun Tishrei, the nigun for the month of Tishrei. Yai rai rai yai rai rai yai rai 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 yai rai rai yai rai rai yai rai rai yai rai 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 yai 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 rai rai. We'd like to make our public service announcement for those of you who are on Zoom, that if you do not want to be seen on Facebook and on our stream spot, you can just take yourself right off the screen if you'd like to protect your privacy. And we are welcoming you all here. We see people coming in. It's so exciting to see people coming into the Zoom room. This Shabbat is special not only because it's Shabbat Shuvah, but it is special because for the first time in over 6 months, we have a bat mitzvah family with us. And we are so thrilled. We're making history tomorrow at 4 p.m. Our first Zoom bat mitzvah will take place. And our bat mitzvah person this week is Cleo Berger, an exceptional young person, an exceptional student. And she and her family are here tonight. So it makes it extra special, and it makes it feel like life does go on even in this time, and we can make beauty, we can make meaning. So we invite you to also turn towards Shabbat Shuvah. You know, often this is our, really, truly, Rabbi Cari and I were talking, truly our smallest service often of the year. It's between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, we've had a lot of services, but tonight I can already feel, it feels so rich. And Cleo, you being here with your mom and dad and maybe your brothers there too, makes it even more special. So this time of turning that we have been putting our attention to since the beginning of the month of Elul, this time of returning to ourselves, of realigning, of revisioning ourselves is such a deep idea. And we were really struck today in our daily drop-in by some writing by Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt. And very briefly, she writes, "We live in linear time, which means we can't revise the actions and choices we made yesterday. We can't go back in time and edit out the things we now regret having said or done, or left unsaid or undone. But we can revise ourselves. We can revise our habits and our hearts. And that is precisely what this work of teshuvah is about. And it's always open to us, but even more sacred, even deeper in this time, in these days of awe between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So on this Shabbat, we take in the light of this really holy and sacred time of returning to ourselves and revisioning ourselves. And we welcome Cleo and her family to light the Shabbat candles with us. And of course, feel free to light your own candles too. Just let me know when. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlek ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Cleo, those candles are so beautiful, and it's so nice that they're going to be shining in our Zoom room and sparkling and shedding even more light on this Shabbat. Well, thank you for being here. So as we prepare ourselves tonight to stand in the light of Yom Kippur in just 2 nights from now, Cleo's Torah portion, Ha'azinu, begins with the words of Moses. He turns to a poem. He starts speaking in poetry. We call on the heaven and earth. We call on our ancestors. We call on our children's children's children, and we ask for help. Help us to enter into this Shabbat and into this Yom Kippur with open and willing hearts. Help us to be present to the beauty and to the fragility of life, and help us turn toward love. To the words of Rabbi Yael Levi, may love be upon our hearts, may love lift our spirits, may love guide our hands. Let us love the world so much that our hearts break open in love. And may the lights of healing, grace, and compassion flow through us to all the world. We turn to the words of Eileh, Chamda, Libi. My heart took pleasure in these. These are the things my heart desires. Have compassion, have mercy. Do not hide. Eileh, Chamda, Libi. These words from Yedid Nefesh. Eileh, Chamda, Libi. Chusana ve'al natitalem. Eileh, Chamda, Chamda, Libi. Chusana ve'al natitalem. Eileh, Chamda, Chamda, Libi. Chusana ve'al natitalem. Eileh, Chamda, Libi. Chusana ve'al natitalem. Eileh, Chamda, Chamda, Libi. Chamda, Chamda Libi, Husana ve'al natitalem. Eileh Chamda Libi, Husana ve'al natitalem. Eileh Chamda, Chamda Libi, Husana ve'al natitalem. Eileh Chamda, Chamda Libi, Husana ve'al natitalem.
Sherry Reisner posted a beautiful article to our Temple Shir Tikvah chat group this morning. I don't know how many of you have had time or you're even in our chat group, but she posted an incredible article written by Blair Braverman, who races sled dogs. And has brought the lessons that her mushing in the Arctic has taught her in preparation for living in the challenges that we are currently facing. And as we are in our first Shabbat of 5781, these words in this article stood out to me, and I wanted to bring them to our community tonight. One of the most surprising things about distance mushing is the need to front load rest. You're 4 hours into a 4-day race, and the dogs are charging down the trail, leaning into their momentum, barely getting started. And then, despite their enthusiasm, it's time to stop. Make straw beds in the snow, take off your dog's booties, build a fire, heat up some meat stew, mostly for the team, but you can have some too, and rest for a few hours. The dogs might not even sit down. They're howling, antsy to get going. It doesn't matter. You rest. 4 hours later, you rest again. In fact, if you're diligent from the start, they'll actually need less rest at the end of the trip, when their muscles are stronger and their metabolisms have switched from burning glycogen to fat than at the beginning. It is far easier to prevent fatigue than to recover from it later. As I read these words this morning, I thought of our Shabbos community, of the fact that we have inherited a tradition that honors the sacred nature of rest as well as the sacred nature of work. I thought of all that we have to do in 5781, all that we are called to do, all that we are facing that challenges and tires us. And I thought about what a gift this time is. This hour in prayer, this day in quiet, however much time you can dedicate to the concept and experience of Shabbat, to recognize rest as holy, is truly an incredible gift. And I am so grateful to share it with all of this community.
So beautiful. Thank you for that. We turn to Lecha Dodi, welcoming together rest, welcoming together Shabbat wholeness, Shabbat peace. When we get to the last verse, if you would like, you can stand and face a window or a door. You can stay seated and just put your hand over your heart, welcoming in that peace. Lecha Dodi lekrat kala yala la yala la yala pene Shabbat nekavela ya Eileh Lecha Dodi lekrat kala yala la המיוחד, אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, לשמו לתפארת ולתהילה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 פני שבת נקבלה, יאללה, יאללה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 פני שבת נקבלה, יאללה, יאללה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באת אורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 פני שבת נקבלה, יאללה, יאללה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בלם, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 פני שבת נקבלה, יאללה, יאללה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, יללה, 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 פני שבת נקבלה. It is a great joy and honor and delight to ask Cleo to lead us in the Chatzi Kaddish tonight. Cleo is a person of great kindness and curiosity, and the studying together, even though we did it the entire time over FaceTime, was just extraordinarily rewarding and amazing. And when after this is over and we're back in person, Cleo will be back to lead us in the sanctuary so that you can all actually see her in the flesh. But Cleo, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for leading the Chatzi Kaddish.
Thank you. Yikada v'yikada shamei rabba v'ama divua hute v'yam lithmo hute v'haye chon uvyome chon upaye Yehovah Yisrael ba'agala uvisma'an kali ve'imaru. Amen. Yehi shmeira v'mivala la'alim u'olme omaya yetbara v'yeshtaba v'yetpa'a v'yetromam v'yetnaseh v'yethadol v'yet'aleh v'yethalal shemei dekudasha v'chu le'ela min kol birhata v'shirata Tushbahata v'neh hamata da'ami ilan ba'ama ve'imaru. Amen.
Amen, amen. May we we locate that source of light within ourselves, that light in this community, that light that is coming from Cleo's Zumical and everyone's Zumical, the light in each other's eyes. May we call each other home. Barechu, dear one. Barechu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Barechu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Barechu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. The prayer for the evening. Ma'ariv Aravim, the blessing of night following day and day following night, order of the seasons. We give thanks for all that is orderly right now, especially in this time of uncertainty that surrounds us. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, and then day turns to night. Goreyon valayla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Goreyon valayla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Moving into the words of the Shema, these words that connect us into a web of life with all that has been created before and all that will come after us. These 6 words. And we'll take a deep breath tonight on this Shabbat Shuvah, listening for what is being called to us to align our lives with, and to Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. And tonight we are doing an interpretation of the Ahavta, the English interpretation of the Hebrew words. And I don't know, somehow they made me think tonight of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, of aligning our lives with compassion, with peace and justice. And so we read together. Let us love peace and compassion with all our heart, with all our soul, and with all our might. Let us take these words to heart, teaching them to our children, and let us recite them at home and away, morning and night. Let us bind them upon our hands, that our deeds be just, and keep them ever before our eyes, that our vision be daring and true. Let us inscribe them upon the doorposts of our homes and upon our gates, so that our going out and our coming in will be for peace. Chamocha, song of praise in miraculous times. Who is like you? Ya Eileh, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele, ya la ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la la, ya la. Most weeks, we do the final prayer of the Shema and its blessings, the prayer that we be protected and sheltered by a sukkah of peace. Ufros aleinu sukkat shalomecha, spread over us a sukkah of peace. And that prayer begins with the words, may each of us lie down at night in peace and wake to life and peace in the morning. We send this prayer out wherever it is needed, to the multiple places it is needed, to the endless places it is needed in our world right now. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamideinu Malkeinu ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. May it be so. We turn to tonight's Amidah, to the prayer that's called the standing prayer. And if you are so moved to stand for this, feel free to do so. You can stand in body or in spirit for the Amidah. And these first 6 words that we begin with, that simple prayer that isn't so simple to do. Open my lips, open my heart, open my mouth, that I may pray, that I may declare the goodness of this world. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Zochreinu Lechaim Melech Hafetz B'Chaim V'Chodveinu B'Sefer HaChaim Lemancha Elohim Chaim, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezorat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav LaHoshia, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofeh cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, Melech mimit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua michamocha av harachamim zocher yitzorav lechayim berachamim v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol Baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hakol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. are still praying, please let this melody accompany your prayer. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again, return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again, return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. We turn to our prayer for healing. We return to our prayer for healing because in these last 6 months, it's taken on a whole new meaning to pray together for the healing of so many people in our community and those loved ones of those in our community. May the one who brought blessings to our mothers, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, bring the blessing of health to those who are ill in mind, in body, in spirit. May the Holy One sustain and strengthen them with compassion and restore them to full health without delay. For all who struggle with illness, let renewal of spirit and renewal of body come soon. And together we say, Amen. Tonight we are praying for Michael and Iris Kapner and their family in Israel, for Adele Ack, for Bernie Scheiman, Angela Panzone, for Tori Macia, Charles Macia, Lori Rousseau, and Michelle Macia, for William O'Brien, for Helen Savitsky, Joanne Travis, Jennifer Harry, for Nancy Alpert, Cheryl Ruxin, Peter Nichols, Lester Siegel, for Ed Snow, Emma Watkins, Devorah Yehudit, for Adam, Nick, Travis, and Maureen Mortel, Emma Jules Charney, Janice Wiesenfeld, Louise Avedon, Nadia Finkelstein, Joel Seiner, for Rosalind Hoffman, Joel Meeks, Judy Planchin. Continued prayers for Audrey Roth, for Bernice Hutzler-Stein, Tina Duffy, Debbie Gilman, Neil Daniels Midman, for Abraham Lyon, Ron and Patty Shepard, Mary Jane Gendra, for Jennifer Chase, Ellen Lee, Judy Donaldson, Isaac Altman Sagan, Rabbi David Nelson, for Jeff Bray, Arlene Edelson, Vicki Oman, Gail Tregor, Melissa Martin and her daughter, for Ken Blumberg, for Jimmy Krasnow. Continued prayers for Asher Guy Ben Chava Vahersh Shmuel, for Justin and Jen Alexander, for Gladys Schuker, Claude Lieber, Nancy Lazaro Lieber, for Beth Gerione's father, Bob Friedman, for Kathy Nath, and for Mason Lee. And please write in the chats available to you if you'd like to, those you are praying for tonight, those in your heart. And we'll join our voices together in the Shebeirach. Shebeirach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel veLeah Hu Yivarech v'Yirapeh et hacholim Elna Refana Elna Refana la Elna Refana Elna Refana Mi Shebeirach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel veLeah Hu Yivarech v'Yirapeh et hacholim. May it be so, that healing come. And as we conclude the Amidah tonight, we conclude with the words of Achat Sha'alti, the verse from Psalm 27 that we have been singing since the beginning of the month of Elul. One thing I ask is to dwell in the house of God, to dwell in beauty and in presence. Achat Sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Achat Sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Shivti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Lachazot benoam benoam Adonai ulevaker beheikalo. Lachazot benoam benoam Adonai ulevaker beheikalo.
Have to worry about that. I'm gonna get you another gummy, okay?
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I was greeted with a visitor on my lap just a few moments ago, as many of you saw. My son went to bed at 8, but apparently not really. So thank you all. He's sending his love to you. And if you hear him behind me expressing anything that doesn't sound exactly like love, I'm going to ask you to interpret it with the Shabbos spirit. And know that he has strong feelings about bedtime. So I think many of you can probably relate to this experience. And if you can't, then I'll ask your patience anyway. How many of you know my name? Somebody, let's see. Cleo, did I see your family's hands up? Was that, yeah? What, you want to unmute yourself? Tell me my name.
Rabbi Cari.
Rabbi Cari, right? The Cari part is my name. Anybody else know another name I have who's not related to me, Paula and Charlie?
Carolyn.
I am a Carolyn, that is right. And I am a Carolyn because I was born on July 4th, 1981. For those of you who want to do the math, yes, that still makes me young. But July 4th, 1981, I am the child of two lawyers, and they gave me a formal name in case I would ever be sworn in as the first female Supreme Court Justice. No pressure. July 7th, 1981, Sandra Day O'Connor is nominated. So when I was named, it was still unheard of for there to be a woman sitting on the Supreme Court. And my parents had great hope that I would have use for the name Carolyn as I was sworn in to that high court. It turned out that it got mostly used when I was in trouble. I will tell you the truth. Mostly Carolyn means, uh-oh, turn around, you got caught for doing something you didn't want to get caught doing. But just in case, I carry the name Carolyn for all such signing in and formal ceremonies, which should tell you that I am one of the legions of women, of Americans, who finds themselves in tremendous mourning this week as we remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Honorable Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I wanted to share with you 3 ways that I think her life and her legacy embody Jewish teaching for us, and teachings directly from the Talmud for us. I bring you these teachings, having learned them from the scholar Moshe Halbertal earlier this week. He brought Reform rabbis together to study Mishnah in her honor. That's a tradition in the Jewish community. When a chacham, when a wise person dies, one of the ways we honor them is we study in their legacy. And so I share this moment of teaching with you today. It is not mine initially, but it is in standing in honor of Justice Ginsburg and her legacy and all that she represents, I think, to me personally, to so many of us gathered here, to the whole world, the whole country. So I want to not real quickly, I want to take a little time because it's Shabbos, and I want to bring you 3 teachings that her life embodied and that we have the opportunity to carry on in her legacy. The first one comes from Eileh, which is about witnesses and who's allowed to be a witness. And in that tractate, a conversation ensues about why the dissenting opinion is saved within the Talmud. Why save the dissenting opinion? The Talmud asks, and in fact, they offer 2 dissenting reasons why you might save a dissenting opinion. They like dissent so much that they save 2 reasons, but one of which is really illuminated in the dissents that Justice Ginsburg wrote over her years. Eileh teaches that a future court might have chance to disagree with a current court's ruling and will need something to hearken back to. The Talmud taught that the future court might have an increased number of judges, I would refer to that as greater representation, or a future court could have increased wisdom, which I would argue might be the outcome of that increased representation, and that therefore a future ruling might have a truth to it that was not available in the past. And that truth could be rooted in the potential of earlier times, but not yet available in those earlier times. Justice Ginsburg represented this ideal, both through her blistering dissents and through her continued philosophical push to have courts that looked forwards towards greater inclusion. She didn't pretend that the documents that founded our country were perfect, but neither did she throw out the high ideals they called upon. Rather, she pushed those documents to be changed in their interpretation, to move our country forward towards a future that thousands of years ago our Talmud envisioned, one in which more voices were included, and one in which the world recognized that that inclusion equaled greater wisdom for the collective. And so as I read the book I Dissent to my niece's class, as I was the reader, the weekly reader, back when you were still allowed in nieces and nephews' classrooms, I brought to those young children the idea that dissent matters when I read Ruth Bader Ginsburg's class, because at some time, somebody else's idea may turn out to be true for us in a way we couldn't recognize in this time now. And I invite us to consider the role that dissent is currently playing in our life and in our national discourse, and how we move into those places of dissent. Another teaching that I would like to share with you from the Jewish tradition comes from the Ramban. It's also available in the Tosefta. It's available in a couple different places. And it says that when a court rules unanimously on a death penalty case, that the person should be convicted and that they should receive the death penalty. If the verdict was unanimous, the person is automatically set free, which is counterintuitive. You would think unanimous means that the trial was clear, that the evidence was overwhelming, that everybody understands the same outcome. But Jewish tradition teaches the danger of herd mentality through this, that if everybody sees the same outcome, if there is no nuance, if there is no voice that says, but what about no room for questioning, then details must have been lost, herd mentality has taken over, and so danger is around the corner. So therefore, Justice Ginsburg reminded us over and over again that our job when we are pursuing tzedek, when we follow the word tzedek, tzedek terdof, the commandment to follow our mission for justice, that our job has to be not to give in to the masses, but to make sure we are thinking for ourselves. Justice Ginsburg reminded the community that Nazi Germany was not a lawless place, but that the brutality of that loss of life, that massive loss of life, was in fact a kingdom of laws deployed by highly educated people, teachers, lawyers, judges, who used laws to facilitate oppression, slavery, and mass murder. Justice Ginsburg led us, or forces us, calls upon us to recognize that we must never let the law convince us that unethical behavior is acceptable. And so when we protest laws that we see are failing to live up to our ethical ideals, when we work to change laws to overcome what has been written into law, which does not underscore or take care of the humanity of each person, we are acting in Justice Ginsburg's honor and in our Jewish tradition's honor. Finally, I'd like to add one more teaching that she embodied for us. In the Babylonian Talmud in Sanhedrin, we're told the story of a bunch of prophets who all give the exact same prophecy, word for word, clearly as if they were speaking in one voice. And the Talmud calls them false prophets, and then asks, how can you know they're false prophets? In fact, doesn't the fact that they all speak as one mean that they are true prophets? No, the Talmud teaches, because it's their uniformity that leads us to believe they are false. They are merely parroting the words of another, not speaking a truth that each one holds individually. Genuine prophecy, like genuine teaching or genuine learning, must always have the mark of an individual. Justice Ginsburg exemplified this teaching when she embraced her complex identities and used them to power her into greater understanding of peoples whose lives were not like hers. She's quoted as having said, "What's the difference between a Supreme Court justice and a tailor from Brooklyn? It's just one generation." Her experience as the daughter of a tailor, an immigrant who worked hard and didn't have a lot to offer to support his families, continued to shape the truth that she spoke for her whole life. She never gave up her identity in order to speak in places of power. And so are we on this Shabbat Shuvah, called to recognize the power in each of our stories, in each of our experiences, and in each of our voices as we call for justice in the year 5781 ahead. No matter what the next 6 weeks brings, I want us to believe in the power of our voices. I want us to do that. Our tradition wants us to do that. And in honor and in legacy of Justice Ginsburg, we are called upon to do that. When she was asked how she kept going through all the difficulties she faced, asked how she just kept trucking, she said, "I love my job. It's the hardest job I've ever had, but I love my job." The job we face in the year ahead is hard. There's no use denying it. It won't change the reality. But I have a feeling that if we work from love, we will find our ability to power through. May it be so, and may we be a part of her ongoing legacy of extending justice in this country. Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Ken Yehi Ratzon. Yasher Koach. And let us turn to our Aleinu for tonight. It mirrors these words. Ve'ahavta l're'acha kamocha. May we love our fellow human being as we love ourselves. Hareini mekabel alai et mitzvat haborei ve'ahavta l're'acha kamocha re'acha kamocha. Hareini mekabelet alai et mitzvat
There is a traditional expression I have heard used this week and understood more deeply. Zichrona livracha, we say, may their memory be a blessing. And there was a conversation on Facebook this week about what are the right ways to memorialize a person who identified as Jewish. What do you say if you want to say, I'm honoring their memory? And so I've been spending a lot of time on this idea, Zichronam livracha, may their memory be a blessing, or Zichrono livracha, may his memory be a blessing, Zichrona livracha, may her memory be a blessing. Whatever identity fits the person, you can find a way to say that the way they live their lives inspires the way you are looking at the future and approaching the future. Justice Ginsburg taught on the role of memory frequently and how we can make it real in our lives. I share her words with you tonight before we turn to our prayer of remembrance. Justice Ginsburg taught, in the striving to drain dry the waters of prejudice and oppression, we must rely on measures of our own creation, upon the wisdom of our laws and the decency of our institutions, upon our reasoning minds and our feeling hearts, and as a constant spark to carry on, upon our vivid memories. In our long struggle for a more just world, our memories are among our most powerful resources. We turn to naming those we are remembering tonight by speaking their names aloud in our community. We bring to heart and mind and body that which they exemplified, which we want to make real in our lives. If there is somebody you are remembering and you would like to add their name into our chat function, wherever you are, so that our community can become one with you, we invite you to do so now. In addition, our community stands in remembrance for Howard Rossov, Allison Berger's cousin, Lenore Levine, the cousin of Diane and David Projacek, and Shirley Siegel, Judy Lipperman's aunt. We are in the period of Shloshim, of the 30 days, for Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Justice Ralph Gantz, Jerome Sachs, Bobby Hitzroth, and Marilyn Nass. And this is the yard site of Rob Levine, the fourth yard site of Lynn's beloved husband, Bill Hoffinger, Alex Hoffinger's father. We are in the year of memory for Jack Vance, Diana Dessy, Billy Mortel, Helen Kranzer, Alan Finder, Myra Perez, and Ida Bershad. Our voices become one, weaving together these words of memory, of loss, of love, and of life, carrying us forward into our futures so that their memories may be a blessing. Please join with me with the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirteh ve'amlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, Ba'gala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mivarach leolam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudasha Barechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shamaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru amen.
Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. And we conclude tonight's service with the singing of Oseh Shalom. May the one who makes peace in the heavens help us to make peace here amongst us. And Cleo, Julie, and Niels, and Eli, we are wishing you the biggest mazel tov and looking forward to the service tomorrow. Thank you for joining us tonight. And let's sing out. Let's sing out for peace. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. And one last time, Oseh shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Shabbat shalom to everyone. Shabbat shalom. See you Sunday night at 7 for Kol Nidre services, if not before. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Good Shabbos. Mazel tov, Cleo.